I'm Nancy Laffey from Completely Quilted, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the month 7 and month 8 blocks for the Amish with a Twist 2 block of the month. So we're going through the block of the month pattern from Nancy Rink called Amish with a Twist 2. And what we've done is we've split up the months into manageable size pieces. So for month 7 and month 8, you're going to be making the same blocks, but they're going to be in different values. So let's start with our month 7 values to be making the block of the month. So in month 7, you're going to start making the log cabin blocks. And so these are the log cabin blocks called block 12A because these are special value medium and dark log cabin blocks. So the best way to start after you've cut your pieces is to lay out your block in the way it's going to be sewn. There's a really great diagram for how to lay out your blocks in your block pattern. So I have pretty much two sides. I have my medium side and my dark side. So you're always going to start with your two little square pieces. So these are pieces that we'll call letter A. So this red fabric is going to be the same fabric for all your blocks. For your log cabin, the traditional way to make them is with a little red center like the hearth of a home. So we're going to take these two exactly the same size cut squares, and then we're going to position them right sides together and stitch these together for our first round of the log cabin. So now I have my first section sewn together, and your red square, if we look at it in our positioning, is always going to be on the top. That's how we know that we're sewing everything in the round. So now I'm ready to sew on my segment B, and this is a medium. And I'll just place my fabrics right sides together and stitch down that seam. So here is my center square, and it's good at this point to measure this square to make sure you have an accurate seam allowance. This particular square should measure 2.5 inches. And so it's a good idea to place that on your mat or under a ruler. If it doesn't measure 2.5 inches, you might want to make your seam a little smaller or bigger depending on what you've got here. So again, I've got my red square positioned to the top, and then I'm going to position the next piece right sides together. So this is my other piece, number B, or letter B, and I'm going to stitch along that seam allowance. Now I've got that section sewn on, and my red square is still oriented on the top, not this one here, and I'm going to continue building. So this is my next piece, and you can kind of always tell because that piece, the size of the piece is the same size as the segment that you started with in the center. Now that I've sewn on that piece, you can see here the next one that I've laid out is the correct size, and I'm just going to keep building, always pressing towards the piece that I just sewed. So now I'm ready for another medium. Remember, the values here are all medium, and the values this direction are all dark. So that's the correct size here, and I'm going to position that along my seam allowance and stitch that 1/4 of an inch. So I've stitched that and pressed it, and remember my red square is still oriented towards the top, always, and now I'm ready for my next piece. So building my log cabin, again, I'm going to select the next piece. That's the correct size. Don't get confused by, if something's hanging off. The next piece will just fit right there. Now I've stitched that, and I'm ready for my next medium piece here. And now I'm ready, and it's growing little by little, my next medium piece. And as you start to grow, you can see how the value of darks and mediums differ in this block. So now I'm back to having this nice square block, and I'm ready for my next dark segment here. So I'll place this and stitch that seam. As my block grows, I still want to make sure that my red square is oriented up, And then keep placing these strips around the outside edge. It really gets exciting once this block starts getting, like, I have less pieces here and the block starts to grow and take shape. So I'm ready to attach this next piece. So now I'm ready for my next medium piece over here. My red square is still facing up, and I will stitch and press this piece. It's so exciting. I have one more piece to sew all the way around, and I'm just going to keep working in the round to keep sewing those strips on and then pressing as I go. So I'm ready to stitch my last strip in place, and then we'll be ready to talk more about this block. So I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration on how to make a log cabin block. It's a very simple block, and after all the half square triangles and things we've done, I hope this is a nice break, even though we're making several of these blocks for how the quilt is set together. So in month 7, you are going to be given medium fabrics and dark fabrics for your block 12A. So you're going to have a lot of extra dark fabric. So you just want to cut what it tells you for your month 7, for your block 12A. So this is a 12A block. It's medium and dark. And then your blocks for month 8 are the exact same construction method. So you can use these same techniques. It doesn't change. The difference is going to be the values. So you are going to be given the dark fabric, and then, or you will already have the dark fabric, and then you're going to be given all the lights. So this here is block 12B. So block 12B is dark and light, and then your block 12A is medium and dark. So medium and dark versus light and dark. So you can see that you've got the same block, but it's made with 2 different values, and it's very clear there that they're different values. It's pretty exciting. And so next month we're going to be talking about how to complete your quilt top with all of these blocks that we've made and how to add borders.